Someone once said, money isn't everything. I'm not certain who said those words, but one thing I can say for certain, that person did not work in the sport industry. Um, in today's world, whether you're talking about college sports or pro sports, money is everything. Heck, even youth sports nowadays is a multi-billion-dollar industry. On the college sports side, in case you haven't been paying attention, we are now in the revenue share era. What that means is not only are coaches being paid millions of dollars not to coach, but there's a $20.5 million salary cap from which current student athletes are actually paid in return for their athletic participation. And on the pro sports side, you have owners who have owned professional sport teams for decades who are actually selling off pieces of those teams to private equity, who hope then to realize millions and millions more from that investment. And while you might have heard about this artificial intelligence and data analytics revolution that we're in the middle of, most of those advances, actually, be surprised to learn, have actually been on the field rather than off of it on the financial side. More than $65 billion of sponsorships are bought and sold every single year. And that, along with ticket sales and media rights, those represent the three big buckets of revenue for sport organizations. And that's why I created what's called the Sports Sponsorship Predictive Artificial Intelligence Network. I know that's a mouthful, so let's just call it Spain from now on. And I started this research more than 10 years ago with my dissertation, and I first presented it at the 2016 and 2017 MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. And at that time, we had a very small data set. It was only about 80 observations. But over the past decade, the students in my lab and I have built that data set up now to the point that it features data on more than 5,800 sponsorships across more than 23,000 observations. And that's the data that feeds into Spain, which is an application powered by machine learning that sports teams, leagues, and events can use as a financial forecasting tool. And perhaps more importantly than the size of that data is the heterogeneity within it, and allows us to make predictions about sponsorships of any sport anywhere in the world. One thing that's exciting for me as an academic is Spain is actually the result of what I would call a truly connected campus, in that the students that developed the application that the user actually interfaces with in order to use the model were computer science students here at Texas A&M who did it as part of their senior capstone project last year. And of course, we're in talks with the athletic department to see if they can use Spain in order to help them target sponsors that are going to generate more revenue for them in the future, for free, of course. So how does Spain work? Essentially, the client answers a series of questions about each sponsorship, and what's called a proportional hazards model generates two predictions. First off, it generates a prediction for the probability of the sponsor returning in subsequent years, and then it makes a prediction for the ultimate amount of time that that sponsor is going to stay with the sport organization. And together, those are used to generate a financial valuation for that sponsorship, and then ultimately for the entire sponsorship portfolio as a whole. And I think that Spain can also be used as a new business prospecting tool. So you can use it to target the sponsors that are ultimately going to stay with you longer and then generate the most revenue for your organization. So you might be saying to yourself, well, this sounds like a B2B tool and not something I'll ever use. Like, what's in it for me? What is in it for you, the average fan? Think of it this way. If your favorite sport team can either make a little bit more money or perhaps save a little bit more money, it might mean the difference between being able to retain that high-performing player, perhaps go out and get that new free agent, or maybe even have some renovations at your favorite arena or stadium, thereby enhancing the fan experience. So what are next steps? Where do we go from here? Right now, we're trying to gain traction in the marketplace, and we're providing trial subscriptions to our friends that work in the industry for sport organizations and leagues. But I think ultimately the goal is for the tool to be invested in by a venture capital firm, or perhaps even purchased outright by a league like the NFL and the NBA. But in the end, our overworked friends, the chief financial officers everywhere, those CFOs, I think the goal is to help them sleep a little better at night, knowing that they have a better handle on their financial future. Thank you.